Hello everyone, welcome to Sabadoria de Alfred. In today's video, we'll dive into City of Lost Souls, the 5th volume of the Mortal Instruments. Get ready for an adventure full of mysteries, twists, and plenty of magic. Imagine waking up in a world where everything you thought was right crumbles in an instant. That's how Clary feels when she discovers that her best friend, her parabatai, has vanished without a trace, leaving only bloodstains and shards of glass. As if the pain of uncertainty weren't enough, the clave itself decides to call off the search, treating it as a lost mission before it even begins. But that won't stop Clary, Simon, Isabel, and Alec from breaking rules, facing cruel fairies, and unraveling conspiracies so dark they could shake the foundations of Idris. Stay with me for the next few minutes to follow every step of this thrilling journey, where loyalty and courage collide in a life or death game, and discover why City of Lost Souls proves that in life, the one you love can be your light or your downfall. It all begins amid shattered glass and bloodstains scattered across the Institute's terrace. After an explosive confrontation with Sebastian, Jace simply disappears. There are no bodies, no traces beyond that crimson trail. As the alert runes still glow faintly, we see the clave, exhausted, divided by political reforms and power struggles, deciding that the search for Jace isn't a priority. To them, it's easier to bury the case than to admit a failure that could destabilize Idris's fragile peace. In that moment, Clary is consumed by guilt. She was the one who urged the angel Raziel to bring Jace back from the dead, believing the sacrifice would be worth it. Now every second of silence weighs like a sentence. The first major conflict arises. On one side, the clave's cold bureaucracy, ignoring the desperation of those left behind. On the other, the unshakable resolve of Clary and her friends, Simon, Isabel, and Alec, willing to break rules, defy authority, and venture into the deepest shadows to rescue their parabatai. And it's this clash between duty and loyalty that kicks off this dangerous journey. The only clue Clary and her friends have is the crystal bell the Seelie Queen gave them as thanks for past services. When Clary rings the bell, the breeze turns into a sweet, hypnotic melody, and the stone floor of New York opens to reveal a glowing portal. In the blink of an eye, they find themselves in the shimmering hall of the Seelie Court, a place where beauty blends with danger. Walls of liquid gold, chandeliers hanging from living branches, and fairies whose smiles hide sharp blades. It is there that the Queen, in all her icy elegance, imposes a steep price. 2 communication rings taken from ancient elven ambassadors, now displayed as trophies in the Institute's library. Bring me those symbols of betrayal, and I will lift the veil Sebastian has cast over himself. Without them, his trail will remain invisible until the end of days. Without hesitation, the group accepts the bargain, but not all of them understand the rules of fairy diplomacy. Every deal with the fairies carries ice in the soul and poison in the seal. Clary clutches the rings to her chest, determined, while Simon, Isabel, and Alec exchange worried glances, aware that by returning what the Institute stole, they may be opening doors they can never close. As Clary and the Shadowhunters prepare to return the rings, Simon faces a very different dilemma in the shadowy corridors of the Downworld. Now elevated to High Warlock of New York, he is greeted with reverence by vampires, warlocks, and even renegade sorcerers. His title isn't just an honor, it's a seal of authority, a golden ticket to the darkest decisions of the magical world. I never imagined I'd be debating interdimensional treaties instead of hiding in alleys, but the promotion came at a critical time. The Warlock Council is divided after Quentin's fall, and everyone expects leadership, right now when I most need to be with Clary. To make his departure possible, Simon calls an emergency session. He presents a concise plan. While he leads a small delegation to Idris to reinforce arcane defenses, he'll gather critical intel on demonic traces. In return, the council grants his temporary absence and authorizes him to search for Jace alongside the Shadowhunters. It's not just a favor, it's a joint strategy. If we fail in Idris, all coexistence between warlocks and Shadowhunters will crumble. With his position strengthened and the, however reluctant, blessing of the warlocks, Simon heads to the Institute, carrying not only the weight of his own decision, but the fragile balance of a world that without him could fall into ruin. To retrieve the magical rings, Clary, Simon, Isabel, and Alec devise an audacious ruse. They pretend to be an inspection team sent by the clave. The torches in the hallway cast long shadows on the stone walls as they cross the main hall. Isabel takes on the role of lead inspector, her calm but firm voice echoing between the columns. She strolls around the shelf where the rings are displayed, distracting Hodge with questions about the security system. Meanwhile, Alec and Simon slip through the library. Alec whispers the correct runes to break the glass seal, and Simon, his heart pounding, carefully lifts the rings from the display case with an archer's precision. Clary, wielding her Seelie, traces the rune-covered walls, erasing them one by one. Each vanishing symbol reduces the Institute's magical alert system to a distant hum, but the plan nearly collapses when footsteps echo in the hallway. Jocelyn and Maurice return unexpectedly. Clary's heart races. One misstep and hours of effort would be lost. Between anxious glances and held breaths, the group braces themselves, ready to improvise at the first sign of alarm. When returning the rings to the Seelie Court, Clary rings the bell for the third time, and in a flash of cold light, they are ripped from New York and hurled into the heart of Lee's. This place, once Lilith's sanctuary, now pulses with the dark energy of Jonathan Morgenstern. Walls of blackened marble line labyrinthine corridors where blood-red torches illuminate sacrificial altars, small bodies of orphaned demons piled like offerings to Sebastian's power. At the center of the main hall stands the crystal sarcophagus where Jace, pale and motionless, rests on a bed of bloody runes. His body emits a fragile glow, like a mirror about to shatter, providing Sebastian with the energy needed to spread his army of shadows across the world of the living. There is no sound but the drip of scarlet liquid flowing through channels carved into the floor. Each drop echoes like a beating heart, but no one is alive to hear it. As Simon watches stunned, the currents of demonic light rising from the bodies, Isabel positions herself beside Alec and Clary, sharing a look that blends horror and determination. They know that to rescue Jace, they must cross this eternal mist, face spectral guardians, and break the seal imprisoning their parabatai without losing their sanity in the process. The first clash of seraph blades echoes through the frozen crypts of lies. Isabel and Alec advance side by side, their movements synchronized like a single warrior. Incandescent runes travel along their blades as they strike precise blows against the demonic guardians, creatures of brittle porcelain and flesh as cold as the surrounding marble. Every demon shard that falls clears the path toward Jace's sarcophagus. Meanwhile, Simon summons the Mark of Cain, feeling its strange heat pulse through his skin. Under the veil of mist, he cuts through legions of succubi, trying to seduce him with sweet words and promises of power. With each step, he raises an arcane barrier, pushing the creatures back toward Jace's tomb, where the glass reflects his determination. Clary approaches, whispering Jace's name as her hands glow with runes of rupture. From within the crystal, a spark of life answers the call, the memory of the unbreakable parabatai bond. With a stifled cry, Jace shatters the sarcophagus from within, unleashing a whirlwind of magical shards that pierce the ground and dispel the darkness. Free yet wounded, Jace rises with eyes burning in gratitude and fury. Gripping his sword, he immediately joins the fight, each strike fueled by Clary's love and his friend's loyalty. And so, amid the chaos of runes and the roar of defeated demons, the spark of victory is born. Jace's rescue marks the turning point in the war for Lys. In the height of chaos, Alec finds himself face to face with Sebastian. The air vibrates around them as each blade clashes, sparks of dark light and pure cutting energy exploding with every strike. Alec keeps his face tense, knowing he's not just fighting a demon, but also confronting shared blood and the choices that turned Jonathan Morgenstern into the monster Sebastian became. Clary, trembling between fear and determination, reaches out, crying with all her voice, "Jonathan, remember who you were, before hatred took your heart." But the words are swallowed by the roar of demonic power. In a moment of twisted fury, Sebastian parries Alec's strike and hurls his rune of darkness at Jocelyn. The shadow envelops her body and she falls, wounded, under the dim light of the hall. Without thinking, Clary throws herself between the cutting runes, shielding her mother. Her body deflects the hellish blade, and Clary's scream echoes like thunder through Lys's walls. Then, from the shadows, Jacob emerges with the fierce howl of werewolves. His cry shatters the icy air, making Sebastian stagger. In one decisive motion, Jacob shackles Jonathan with raw silver chains, ending his reign of terror. Jace, exhausted but steady, runs to Jocelyn and lifts her in his arms. Each step leaves trails of shimmering runes on the ground. With Jocelyn secured against his chest, he crosses the portal back to safety, leaving behind the ravaged crypts, but carrying the flame of hope. And in this moment of silence, we understand the true price of loyalty. The sacrifice of those we love may push us to the brink, but it's there we find the strength to endure. Back in the bustle of New York, the city lights seem brighter, but for Simon, every glimmer carries the echo of the shadows he faced. Resuming his role as High Warlock, he holds meetings at dawn, his voice steady, but his eyes betraying the weight of the sacrifices he witnessed. Every spell he casts now carries renewed determination to protect the supernatural world from threats few dare to see. At the Institute, Clary and Jace walk together under blossoming trees. Their laughter, once carefree, now holds the depth of those who have survived darkness. darkness. Between whispers, they promise never to abandon each other, for they know that when the Parabatai bond is tested to its limit, only absolute unity can keep them standing. But peace is always fleeting. In Idris, within a forgotten ancient crypt, a rune burns bright red, Lilith's seal, encrypted with promises of a new apocalypse. The circle of lost souls echoes in the shadows, signaling that this victory was merely the prologue to a much greater war. So folks, will our heroes be able to contain Lilith's ancient fury? Share your theories for the next volume in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Until the next journey on Wisdom of Alfred. Did you enjoy this deep dive into City of Lost Souls? Leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future videos with reviews and analyses of great books. Let us know in the comments which book you'd like to see next here on Wisdom of Alfred. Until next time.